if a young entrepreneur or a naturopathic doctor is watching this and they want to follow in your footsteps, what is the best piece of advice that you can give them?
So, obviously in school, it's like a typical traditional school where you learn a lot of memorize these pharmaceuticals, these acupuncture points, these botanical, whatever. While you're going through school, make sure that you're also learning more clinically applicable things and getting out there in the community and like seeing what is available, so that when you get out there, you're not just like dumbstruck with all of the new things that you have to take on.
Really like having confidence in what you have to offer and just throwing off the white coat and like bringing it down to earth and relating and connecting, I think is like the biggest piece of advice. Because once a patient feels that connection, then they get vulnerable. And then you hear the real truth of why they're faced with the symptoms that are manifesting in them. Take away all of the medical jargon and all of the textbooks-ish and just get down on their level and relate to the person. That's the number one advice I would say for any of our fellow practitioners out there.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Basem Hanna podcast. Today, we're trying something new. Normally, we bring entrepreneurs that are at the middle or end of their entrepreneurial journey. But this time, we're bringing on people who are just starting. Today, I'm honored to be hosting Rachel and Rebecca from Rooted Solutions. They have just branched out and started their own naturopathic clinic. And we're going to talk about some of the challenges that new entrepreneurs face, kind of like that are fresh in the journey. So Rachel, Rebecca, thank you so much for being on the show. Before we get started, why don't you guys introduce yourselves and what you do to the audience?
Amazing. So I'm Dr. Rachel. I'm a naturopathic doctor and CEO of Rooted Solutions. And we just opened in May of 2023, so coming up to about a year now. And this is my partner, Rebecca.
So I'm Rebecca. I'm the co-founder of Rooted Solutions, a naturopathic doctor working in downtown Toronto.
Wicked. So let's start from like the very beginning, because I know very little about naturopathic medicine.
Yeah.
What is it? How is it different than like regular medicine?
Great question.
All right.
Do you want to take it away?
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you my spin on it. So
Sure.
Everyone has their own kind of take on naturopathic medicine. I take it as mind, body, soul medicine. So it's not just focusing on physical symptoms that might manifest, but also taking a look into people's mental health, into their stress management, into their emotional well-being, to just really get a full picture of the person that's sitting in front of you.
Okay.
And to do that as a naturopathic doctor, we spend quite a lot of time with our patients for our initial intake. It goes up to about 75 minutes. So you really go deep dive and like get to know that person in that first session. And that makes you a little bit more equipped in creating a personalized plan for each person.
Okay. What does naturopathic medicine mean to you?
Great question. So the way that I like to describe naturopathic medicine is to compare it to conventional medicine. So fundamentally, what we're looking to do is investigate the root cause of the problem.
Okay.
So instead of just taking a pharmaceutical or even a supplement as like a Band-Aid solution, we want to dig deep, take time to go through the different systems of the body, the different aspects of lifestyle to figure out why it's happening in the first place, instead of just treating the symptom itself. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Listen, I'll be honest. My mom is not a regular doctor, but a more traditional
Conventional doctor,
conventional doctor. So like, I'm a little biased here.
Of course.
I like seriously, I think it's not like, it's more Eastern style medicine than it is Western. So I'm here with an open mind and to be educated. As to like your specific practice, but the majority of the conversation I want to talk about like the struggles of starting a business and all that good stuff.
For sure.
What education do you need to become a naturopathic doctor?
Yeah. So
Also a
very
great question.
similar to what you would need to become a conventional doctor. So you get your undergrad, and then from there you apply to naturopathic medical school.
Okay.
And that's a postgraduate degree that takes 4 years. And then in your last year, you're doing full clinical internship and practicing with patients.
Then I think to add on top of that, you spend like a year doing board exams. So there's a variety of different exams. There's written exams, there's practical exams, there's prescribing licenses. IV exams. So it took me like about a year to get all my exams done after.
Yeah.
Can you prescribe
Yes.
So
full spectrum prescription?
no.
Okay.
So it's a province-based legislation.
Regulation.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in BC, you can prescribe almost all of sort of the general
Everything but narcotics, basically.
pharmaceuticals, but in Ontario you can't. So
You
getting
can prescribe narcotics.
Everything in BC, everything but narcotics.
Right.
In Ontario, we have way more of a limited scope of practice,
I see. Okay.
unfortunately.
So in terms of prescribing here, it basically just means you can do bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, you can do desiccated thyroid, and you can do like higher doses of certain vitamins and minerals, including like injections of those
Can you
things.
prescribe cannabis?
No.
We're not legally allowed
Which
to
is
discuss
ironic.
that
You would
either.
think the naturopathic doctors
Right?
could
Yeah.
prescribe the natural medicine,
That's
that's all conventional.
as a former cannabis user, I'm sad. Okay, so let's talk about the journey to get to here. So for those of you that don't know, Rachel and I have a very long history together. We grew up in the same church, so I've known Rachel since she was a kid. Actually, I probably grew up more knowing your brother than I knew you, but you know how time goes. What did you do prior to like starting this business? Like talk me through, like we graduated high school and then
Go to university. So I actually didn't know what naturopathic medicine was until like my third year of uni.
yeah.
And so I went in with just a general health sciences. I knew I wanted to do something in the medical realm, but I just didn't know exactly what. And then my third year, I actually, it was someone from the community who was a pharmacist. And he was like, you're very into like the herbs and the natural stuff. And like, why don't you look into naturopathy? And I was like, what is that? And then went, looked it up. And I'm like, wow, this is like everything that I do on my spare time. Like, this is exactly kind of doctor that I want to be. And so in my third year, I started doing all of the prerequisites to get into medical school. So I was avoiding like kind of like the heavier sciences, the chemistries, the microbiology, all that fun stuff. So I started taking all of that into my fourth year, took an extra year of university to complete all of the prerequisites. And during that time, I was working basically part-time as a server, worked at bars just to make cash money on the side.
We're going to get back to that.
I'm doing taxes, so don't tell anyone about that part. But that did essentially fund my schooling. So I was able to graduate kind of debt-free by doing that on the side. And then naturopathic school is a very expensive program because it's privatized.
Right.
So it's not offered at your like basic U of T or McMaster. It's something that you would have to go to one of the designated private naturopathic colleges, which means tuition is kind of triple the price. And so for that, you take out a loan. My mom's in real estate, so we played around on some of our properties, and that really helped me kind of leverage.
Shout outs
tuition.
to Adele.
Yeah. Shout out to Mama. Exactly. And then, so from there, I kind of got my sense of like how to make it without really digging yourself in a big hole and with the finances in the background.
Okay.
That makes sense. And Rebecca has a little bit of a different backstory.
So Rebecca, what's your journey into this?
So in high school, I always wanted to go into conventional medical school. So I did my undergrad in life sciences and biochemistry, planning to go into med school. In UBC, got there and just was sort of attending all of the pre-med events, had all of my roommates who were pre-med, and just had this sort of weird intuitive dissociation. And I was like, this is not kind of where I'm meant to be, which was really alarming because that's what I had wanted to do from the very beginning of when I was. So I left UBC. I went into cancer and autoimmune disorder research, working for a private biotech company. We were developing an immunotherapy. And there, the CEO of the company was a medical doctor who had a very naturopathic approach. And he kind of like instilled this naturopathic medicine view, and that really resonated with me. And I was like, light bulb, this is kind of what I want to do in medicine. And just around that time is when naturopathic doctors became licensed practitioners, because I wanted it to be very licensed and like evidence-based. That's how I like to practice. So I was living in Vancouver at the time, left Vancouver, came to Toronto, went into the 4 grueling years of naturopathic medical school, and then that's how I ended up here.
And how did you two meet?
In school.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Our first year, we both lived in res. which was awful.
Very
But
cool. Yeah.
I mean, glad to have met each other, of course. It was naturopathic school, like a lot of people don't tell you, but it's grueling because you do everything that you would do in med school as a conventional doctor, but then on top of that, you need to learn all the natural modalities. So our exam periods were like 12 exams in 10 days. Like it was very intensive.
It was horrible.
Right.
You take many courses at the same time. And so kind of going through something that's so intense like that, you develop a bond with the people that you go through it with. It's like you're soldiers, like you're going into war together. And so since first year, we kind of just held each other down, and now we are starting a practice together.
Said.
Okay, I get this. I get this sense that. Actually, let me ask it as a question. Do you find that you are having to defend naturopathic medicine versus traditional medicine?
Particularly, I'd say in our community, for sure. That's a big deal, right? Like, we're all built up of pharmacists, doctors, lawyers, engineers. And so a naturopath is like, what is that? You're not a real doctor.
Right.
Which, to me, I guess, I've established what I do and I'm comfortable with it. So I don't feel like I need to defend it in that way. But I can understand how, someone from the community may be like, no, that's like weed doctor, witch medicine. Like, we're not buying in.
But why do you care?
No, I don't. That's what I just said.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
for me, like, I know I'm like very well established in what I do as an individual. And I know that I have just as much medical knowledge to diagnose and treat a patient as a medical doctor does.
Yeah.
So personally, I don't care, but I can understand from the outside perspective what other people are thinking.
So you're accommodating for people's ignorance.
Empathy.
That's cool. Yeah.
Like, I knew you were like
my
trying to like
ignorance.
word
My
the
ignorance,
question
yeah.
in a respectful way. And I'm like, I can see you like trying
What
to be
is your
politically
hocus pocus
correct.
craft?
Like, there's no need to be PC here.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about just you guys as people and like what kind of personalities it takes to become an entrepreneur. Like, this is an entrepreneurship podcast. We typically talk to like the people that are listening to this are usually either about to start their own business, want to start their own business, or they're in real estate. Most of the time I'm talking to real estate people. So maybe I should get your mom on here.
She would love that.
I guess my question is, what makes you want to start your own business versus working for somebody else?
Yeah. So as soon as I got my naturopathic license, I didn't even wait a month before opening our private practice.
Okay.
I knew that in school I wanted to branch out privately. And I guess it's kind of the same concept behind my mom being a realtor. It's like you make your own hours, you run a family, you can run a household, but still have, control over your finances and have a passive income of some sort. And with naturopathic medicine, if you don't privatize, you essentially are trading your time for money. And that's just it. Like, you don't get money unless you're seeing patients.
But isn't that the same thing? Like, even if it's your own clinic, like you still have to see patients to make the money. Like, you're not going to, or do you hire doctors, naturopath doctors, like to work for you guys?
And other practitioners as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess maybe like I'll ask you the same question. Like, what made you want to have the entrepreneurial leap?
So it almost comes back down to sort of the naturopathic perspective. I didn't want to be stuck to this like 9-to-5 job. I, as a person, just don't resonate very well. I don't operate as well under that. I don't feel like my health is as good when I'm not sort of in control of my time and my efforts, if that makes sense.
Got it.
So yeah, for me, the entrepreneurial lifestyle is exactly what I'm looking for out of life. And what I'm able to be creative. I'm able to manage my own time, which are all the things that I want from my life. And I want to have a job that I'm passionate about and that I'm excited to do, and that I, can kind of like blend work and life together because I love doing it so much. And this is exactly what I love to do. Naturopathic medicine I love, and then to be able to like work it in that entrepreneurial way is exactly like, I'm so excited.
Okay, so you guys have been at this since May 2023. We're recording in April, so it's 11 months. Have you guys broken even yet?
Well,
1 month where revenues have exceeded expenses.
for sure.
Yes?
Yeah.
When did you reach that point?
Well, our expenses right now are not that much. So our biggest expense was maybe developing our webpage and then creating our online medical records.
What about
system.
rent?
Well, we don't actually have, like, we makeshift our home space into a clinic space.
So you work out of your
Home.
your house.
And not
created-
only that, so with COVID came this whole new wave of virtual care, which for naturopaths works very well because a lot of the time you don't need to be in person to do naturopathic medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So with Rooted Solutions, I mostly see my patients virtually, which is perfect.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Oh.
expense load is very low.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's
I
a
didn't
nice
know
twist
this.
to it,
So
yeah.
do you guys have a storefront?
For selling supplements and things like that? Or
No,
like
do you
Not-
if a patient wants to see you in person,
Mm-hmm.
they are going to your home or you're going to their home?
They're coming to my home usually.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it could go the other way too.
Yeah.
Right.
So I do both, but I like to have patients come to
Real,
my home.
the
I have
hustle
my
is
table,
real.
my desk, my
Exactly.
I
my
like it.
dispensaries there. So yeah, that makes it a lot easier. And like I'm grateful to have a very nice home in the city where I could have a space allotted to creating like a nice clinic.
Right.
And that worked out because
Do you feel like it's like a little bit of like a break of the work-life balance to have people show up to your home?
Yes and no. Like I love what I do. So it's hard for me to feel that. And even not as a practicing naturopath, like I love hosting. I love having people over. I want everyone to come and heal and feel better.
That's
so
the
it's
Egyptian in you.
It's-
That has nothing to
exactly.
do with medicine. That's an
it's
Egyptian
just our
trait.
character.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like happy to do it. My roommate was a little like, you're gonna have strangers coming into her home like all the time. You don't know who they are. Like, so at the beginning, we started just with family and friends or referrals from family and friends to keep it kind of safe and secure.
Right.
But for me, I'm very open door policy, love people, love them, welcoming them into my space.
Very cool.
So I
And you
didn't
do
have an
all your
issue.
stuff online, or the
Virtually,
majority
yeah.
of your stuff online?
And with that being said, obviously the goal eventually, because we are new entrepreneurs, that's a good way to sort of cut costs and make things work. But at some point in time when it makes sense, we'll get our own clinic space.
Yeah.
So that was my next question: is the dream to constantly be doing it this way? Because how can you work that business model where you guys mentioned like you want to make passive income?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work when you don't have office space to leverage to other doctors?
Yeah. So it's like a part of the plan down the road.
Okay.
So we need to be able to have enough of a patient flow to hire on new practitioners. Once
Right.
we have enough practitioners and patient flow, then we can have a space for them to kind of be like coming to and a
And
storefront.
even still, some practitioners prefer to work virtually anyway. So as long as you have an influx of patients where practitioners know that they will get patients, they're willing to sort of be involved in the business. And there's a split and things like that, yeah.
Okay. So up to this point, what's been the biggest struggle that you guys have faced, or like the biggest hurdle?
Time, having enough time to put into
Yeah.
the business.
I'd say like doing everything on your own. Like you're not just a practitioner, but you're an entrepreneur, you're a web developer, you're a social media content creator. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to wear a bunch of different hats and learning, obviously things that we didn't get taught in school. It's like been a huge learning curve for us. So I'd say that's the biggest challenge so far.
And with all honesty, it was a bit of a cop-out answer. Like what specifically is like non-naturopathic medicine related? What is the hardest part of being an entrepreneur in your mind? Yes, time management sucks.
Well,
We're
so
always
I think
like,
I should elaborate on the time management. So I still work in other clinics right now to make things work, right? Because obviously the business is small and we're still working things out in terms of making income. So managing my other jobs and having enough time to actually designate to promoting Rooted Solutions, getting all of those things going, I think it's really like I just have very, very minimal time, and I have to go out of my way to be like, okay, we have to stop. We have to put time into this, because if we want it to grow, we have to,
Water the
put the effort
grass.
into it.
yes,
Water
yes,
the grass.
the grass
Well
is
said.
green where you water it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that still a cop out?
Yes, but it's
Is that
okay.
better?
I feel like maybe this just like I'm.
That is
maybe I'm looking
truthful,
for an
though.
answer that like I can't also script you into like
Yeah.
saying what.
Well,
I
and that
want to
is
say.
literally my truth. If I had to identify the biggest struggle right now, that's literally it. Just being so overwhelmed by my other patients and my load of things to do kind of thing.
I'll tell you, even I've been an entrepreneur for 12, 13 years.
Yeah.
Time, I feel like I'm still doing that today. I might have, I was complaining to Marina yesterday. I'm like, I feel like I'm being pulled in a million different directions and I don't know. I'm like, when does it end? Like, there's no amount of people that I hire or like get help from. But I think that's like the nature of an entrepreneur, right? Like,
Well, and that's the thing, right? I think time management in the sense that you have to prioritize this and make it part of the thing that's pulling you instead of letting all the other things pull you, because it's very self motivated, right? Like if we don't have time, we're like, okay, we'll keep doing it later. We'll keep doing it later because we have control over that, which is what we love. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, at some point we have to draw the line and say like, this requires time, put all of those other pulls on hold, even though, you know, you have clinic owners and patients and all these other things waiting on your time to like, be like, no, I'm putting this time for this. This is important.
okay. So on that thread, what is the part of your business or entrepreneurship that you like absolutely despise, or like the thing you want to do the least?
Admin work.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Admin.
Kona, don't add us, but charting is
Yeah.
the worst.
Like
Like,
so much admin, so much booking,
mundane.
health, like what, because when we're doing it on our own, we don't have admin yet, but soon we will. We're almost there. But in terms of, you know, direct billing and like all of those kinds of things, which are like very foreign to me, I have to go through and like learn how to work all this like emails, charting, treatment plans, admin, health benefits, how much do labs cost, how does this work, blah, 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 blah. Labs are just requisitions.
And if
all
we're
that.
being real, Rebecca also hates being in public, like public speaking, podcasting,
100%.
social media,
Social
content
media.
creation, which unfortunately, as a naturopathic doctor, we don't get the same patient flow as a conventional medicine practitioner. You open a clinic and people just kind of walk through your door.
Right.
Because it's
Well,
covered
also-
under
it's
the
covered,
government.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we really have to motivate patients to come in and pay out of pocket or use their insurance benefits towards coming to see us. And in order to do that, we kind of have to be in the know. You have to be in front of the camera. You have to be creating content.
Right.
You have to be creating contests.
Yeah.
Also contests.
Also got that. Yeah.
But
The other thing too is Kono, so that's our regulatory body. They're very, very stringent and very, very strict. And I think that kind of comes back to what you commented before, like, do you have to defend yourself in terms of comment? Like Kono does that for us. So they have very, very tight regulations all over every aspect of how you market, advertise, chart, discounts, this, and this. So you almost have to become a regulatory expert at the same time too, which is like a whole other realm of like admin stuff.
Okay. What would your, like, I'm going to give you guys a chance to plug here because we're like marketing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. Like I'm like, the podcast is fun, but the podcast was originally created so that because I wanted an easy way to make snippets of content.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And so let's use this platform that we have right now and the cameras that we have pointed at us to give you guys some content. What is the, watch, this is going to turn into a reel. What is the reason that somebody should pick a naturopathic doctor and pay out of pocket versus using a traditional physician and getting it covered by OHIP?
yeah. So that's the whole reason why we're on your podcast, is because as an entrepreneur and as pretty much anyone in the general public, your health is your investment in yourself. And that's what makes you productive and that's what makes you successful. And unfortunately, a conventional medicine practitioner, they don't have more than 5 minutes to spend time and coach you on how to be healthy, what lifestyle behaviors to change, how to manage all of the things that come with being an entrepreneur and the stress that comes associated with that.
Right.
So as a naturopath, you really have someone kind of cheerleading you, coaching you every step of the way. Every routine that you implement can be created and curated, personalized for you by a naturopathic doctor. And
So I
Let's
have
say.
maybe a bit of a different perspective because I work in an integrative clinic. So I work closely with medical doctors.
Okay.
We refer back and forth to each other. So I would say essentially, can you ask the question again?
Yeah.
It was so long. I was like, wait,
Why
what did
you
ask?
over a medical doctor?
Yeah. Why a naturopathic doctor over a medical doctor?
Got it. Okay. So at my integrative clinic, essentially everybody has extended healthcare coverage. So naturopathic medicine is, I don't think I have seen maybe like 5 patients who haven't had extended coverage to have it covered. But yeah, working very closely with medical doctors, it's a lot of people who haven't been able to have success with the conventional medical system, who have side effects from medications that they're currently on, who want to optimize health instead of just rule out disease. So we're looking to, even like taking a look at lab work. Conventionally, you're ruling out disease, ruling out emergency, whereas naturopathically, you're looking to optimize. So even if you're within reference ranges and, your thyroid hormone's on the lower end of the spectrum, that can still cause symptoms. And nowadays we're dealing, like, the modern world has created this sense of like very complex chronic diseases that I feel the conventional medical system doesn't actually completely understand, to be completely honest with you. People with gut health and autoimmune issues and really, really high levels of stress related to allergies and things like that are things that the conventional medical system doesn't yet exactly know how to treat or can't treat simply with a pharmaceutical. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I see people all the time who just have no other choices than to come to us. Right. And it takes more time and it takes more effort and it takes more investigation, but helping people through these places where they've come to a point where they have no more choice is so rewarding. Like, that's why I love my job.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes or no only question. Do you think you are better than regular doctors?
Yes.
It's a yes or no question.
Yes, 100%.
And
but I mean,
this
not
is
to
spicy
say,
because I happen to know that Rachel is dating one of these like lesser doctors. So.
But that's the
And
thing.
ask
it's not
him
a
that
yes
question
or no.
too. His life changed after dating me. I guarantee you.
Yeah, he told me he's using different deodorant.
Nah, the deodorant
That
thing
is
is a myth. See, and that's the thing. I think naturopathic medicine gets this rap of like things that aren't real. Like natural deodorant is not real. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Again, it's like the social media version of naturopathic medicine versus what actually naturopathic medicine is very different.
Okay.
Like the natural deodorant is garbage. Okay, let's be honest.
I honestly, I just
Rude.
use like literally the Costco 5-pack.
That's fine.
I'm just gonna die of armpit cancer.
No, see, and again,
More like
it's
Alzheimer's, but that's okay.
Really?
No,
We'll
there's
put
no
that on a
evidence
next
to
episode.
show that that's
That
the
makes
thing.
a lot of
The only
sense.
problem,
That's Alzheimer's,
no,
there is.
aluminum evidence has been disproven. There's no association with that. The problem with aluminum-based deodorants is that it's irritating. That's all.
Right. Oh,
argue her on
go
that.
ahead.
And that's the
Please,
thing,
by
right?
all means. Yeah.
Every naturopathic doctor has a very different perspective.
Okay.
For sure.
I mean, listen, I go with whatever Costco is selling, so it's
Yeah, but think about it this way. You're going Costco for your skincare products, hygiene products, your food.
yeah.
But then on your clothes, you're going to go put on like Louis Vuitton and like, I don't know what the brand names are, like whatever.
Sure you don't.
Chanel
Yeah, sure
and all
you
that
don't.
fun
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I
yeah.
honestly don't.
Nice boots, Rachel. Yeah.
But like, don't you care about more what you're putting inside your body than like, the lavish, the like cars, the houses,
100%.
the furniture, the brand name clothing, all of that stuff? Shouldn't you invest more into the gas that's like operating your entire being?
I mean, listen, I just don't want to smell and avoid
That's
sweat.
fine. We
So,
can chat about that
yeah,
later. 'Cause
like,
I can smell
are
you
you
from
guys-
here with your Costco deodorant.
Oh, wow. I tried to cover it with the expensive cologne. Do you guys have a view on things like Botox and like lip fillers and all that good stuff?
Right up our alley.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, go for it.
So I focus in skin and anti-aging medicine.
Uh-huh.
And to be completely honest, the point of life is to be happy and to do what you want to do and what is important to you.
Right.
So, I mean, Botox fillers, if that's kind of the route that you want to go, I don't have a problem with that, obviously. But I feel like if you really want to optimize for anti-aging and beauty and aesthetics and all those kinds of things, then you have to do the integrative approach, right? Do the inside stuff and the outside stuff to sort of get the most.
What's the
comprehensive
inside
approach.
stuff?
Do you want to get into all of that? Pillars of health, nutrient deficiencies, insulin dysregulation, liver health, inflammation, mitochondrial function, thyroid, hormones, diet, lifestyle, sleep, stress.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are gonna change you're gonna change my lifestyle to like.
I mean, you look like
Eating
you already
salads?
have a good lifestyle. So it's all about what works for you, right? If you're at a point where you're not in dysfunction.
Says the two people who did shots right before the
Yeah,
the
but
podcast.
happiness is like that's what it's all about, right? What really is the purpose of life is being happy, right?
That's
so
true.
it's all
It is
in
very
moderation,
true.
and
Yeah.
like
our big thing with our brand, with Rooted Solutions, is the one thing we want it to be is relatable and real. So like that is like, we understand that you're not going to be eating clean 24/7 and that you need to live life and you need to, you know, balance, have fun.
Totally.
Don't take life too serious. Stress management, like of all the things that the research shows, stress is the most harmful for your health.
Right.
And so being able to balance that, being able to have fun and not take yourself too serious, laughter is medicine. That's like our policy when it comes to our brand.
Speaking of stress, how is your stress load pre and post entrepreneurship?
You know, it's interesting. You would think it would have gotten better because like I said, our naturopathic program is very intensive.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get that much better after being an entrepreneur. Honestly, you still have to, like I said, wear a million hats, and the stress is real. Like,
Yeah.
we actively have to take the time to stress manage, or you just drown. And it's very easy to lose sight of like why you're here and what is it that you're trying to do into the world? Like, how are you trying to make a difference and impact into others?
Right.
When you're so stressed and like you can't even focus and function. So that's why, again, balance, stress management, don't take life too seriously. Those are like core foundational pieces of our brand.
I disagree. I feel like I feel much less stressed.
Really? You
And
might be
I
the
mean,
first
not- okay,
entrepreneur that I've
not-
ever heard say they feel less stressed
Maybe
after.
let's define stress, right? So there's good stress and there's bad stress.
Right.
I would say stress level is still there, still relevant, but good versus bad. I would say way more good than bad, for sure.
I think that means that you're doing it right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And you just have to employ the naturopathic techniques, and that's it. You're good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. A couple of like parting questions. You guys, this is like a different vibe for me. Tell me we're going to go like completely like just for fun here. What is the biggest, okay, two questions. One, what is the biggest mistake you guys have made professionally so far?
Oof.
You have one?
I don't.
We're good. We've never done anything
No,
wrong.
of course
Yeah.
we have.
No,
It's just
I'll
a
tell
matter
you
of
what
like
mine is.
mistakes that haven't had positive outcomes. You know what I mean? Like where.
No, just the one that sticks out to you. Like, don't think about it too much. Like the one
So,
that sticks out to you the most in your mind.
Our first 3 months of entrepreneurship, my like very little finances that I had to allot to starting our business, I pretty much put all of it into web development.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to pay this guy. It's going to be great. He knows what he's doing. He's going to get it done fast. And that's going to be kind of like the home to like how we're going to start, you know, funneling in patients, getting our SEO going, etc.
Right.
What I thought would take maximum 3 months took what, like closer to 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
I had to kind of let go of my type A personality where perfection was like everything needed to be on point and
Right.
like to the detail and specs that I wanted it to be. And understanding that no matter what your timeline is, you kind of have to let go of those things when you are operating with a team and you got so many different like cooks in the kitchen. You really have to let go and like relinquish control and just surrender and be like, it's okay. It didn't happen on time. It's okay that we spent more money than we initially planned.
And did you get the results that you wanted? How's your SEO? How many
Jeez.
leads are you getting out of that website?
Well, we still are working on the SEO, to be honest. We're doing a lot of
That's like a whole,
community-based things right
and
now.
we didn't know that. That's like a whole separate,
World.
there's web developing, there's web design, and then there's
They're
SEO.
not the same thing.
They're not the same thing, and they don't come all at the one same price of
Yeah, the
however
low
much
price
it was.
of, yeah.
Or even not so low, but yeah.
To be honest, mainly right now, we don't get that many web searches. We pretty much are all referral based at this point. I've had a handful of people
Yeah.
come from the internet.
I find social media helps more than SEO is good when you're a little bigger and you're,
Yeah,
and
like when you have
people
a clinic space, I was thinking, SEO seems more like a time once you have an actual space and things
Right.
like that.
Most embarrassing non-professional moment of your life.
Oh my God. Or like, is this, you can say whatever you want?
Say whatever you want. This is the sizzle. This is the sizzle for the podcast. We're going to get people to watch this. One time in university.
Embarrassing.
I remember I was on a plane once and I had my like, I was going there to do some sort of, I think I was going to a conference. I can't actually remember exactly what I was doing, but in my bag I had my like clothes shaver.
Yeah.
And was sitting there and it like turned on and it just, I don't know, it sounded like a vibrator. And everybody in the plane, and I don't know. I feel like for whatever reason that stands out like most significantly to me.
Like,
That the entire
man,
plane like thought
turn
I
off
had.
your,
And the guy beside me was just like, "Ugh," and I was like, no, like it's a clothes shaver. And I like took it out and I was like, I don't know.
Clothes shaver. You shave your clothes.
like
Yeah.
take all the lint off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Very
Yeah.
important.
I've never even heard of such an item.
I only know that from my days
I
as,
call
there was a brief
bullshit.
moment in my life where I worked at Tuxedo Royale, where I used to like, so I know what a clothes shaver is, because the rentals would come
They're the
back and they're
best.
like lint and you got to like take, I know
Especially
what
when
that
you're
is.
like about to go, you just do like a full, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was very, for whatever reason, it stuck very strongly in my memory. And I was with my boyfriend at the time and he was just like, oh, like, do you bring a vibrator with you? And I was like, no. What are you talking about?
No, it's in my check bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
embarrassing story. I can't even think of one.
That's a hard question, right? That's the
is,
thing
yeah.
that just like comes.
Yeah,
First.
whatever works. This is just to like,
Okay, I can say the plane prompted me. I was on a plane with my sister one time, and I was working on a massive thesis in my third year of naturopathic school on diabetes.
right.
And I'm just talking freely, openly. I'm like, not like naturopathic medicine, that's how you treat diabetes. Like conventional medicine, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Like they have none of the right medications. They don't know anything about nutrition, lifestyle, whatever. I'm going off.
Right.
The gentleman next to me, he's like, oh, like I see you're talking about like diabetes mellitus. Like I am a whatever, like some medical practitioner that's specialized
Oh, okay.
in diabetes. And he was like a little bit offended, obviously, by what
Yeah.
I was saying. So we got
Just
into
cussed
a
him
conversation about it. And it ended up being good. Like we ended up exchanging contacts and like we still collaborate sometimes now. But initially I wanted to die and I was like so embarrassed because I didn't mean to obviously like poo-poo on his profession. But
That's okay. I'm sure
yeah.
he says that about you guys when you're
100%.
when you're not in the room.
And that's probably where the defense comes from when you
Yeah.
asked me earlier. Like it's probably just like,
Oh yeah, doctor's got an ego. Trust.
I wanted to answer that question too. I feel like when I was going through school and, I came from pre-med and I was always planning to go into medical school. So I've always had this sort of like, I don't know, point to prove,
inferior complex.
For
Yeah.
sure, 100%.
Yeah.
And rightful, you know what I mean? It makes sense. Once I got into practice, that completely dissolved. Just through working with medical doctors, talking to patients, and like recognizing how important and relevant nowadays what I do is, it completely changed my perspective. And previously, I was very much sensitive to all of that. 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. One final, like a parting message. If a young entrepreneur or a naturopathic doctor is watching this and they want to follow in your footsteps, what is the best piece of advice that you can give them? You go first.
I would say probably, so, obviously in school, it's like a typical traditional school where you learn a lot of memorize these pharmaceuticals, these acupuncture points, these botanical, whatever. While you're going through school, make sure that you're also learning more clinically applicable things and getting out there in the community and like seeing what is available so that when you get out there, you're not just like dumbstruck with all of the new things that you have to take on.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not to say that's easy because school is just so overwhelming and there's so many things to do, but just keeping in mind like that big picture in terms of making sure that you realize on the other side, there's so much more to practice, and starting to get ahead of that while you go through school will put you at an advantage. And I think me and Rachel were very good at doing that, to be completely honest. Mm-hmm. We were very aware of what the world looked like on the outside of school, but I think a lot of practitioners are not, and they get stuck and confused and scared and like don't end up even practicing because they just don't know how, because it's a very overwhelming profession, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that just brings us back to our brand. Like you can memorize every disease in the book and every treatment for it, but if you can't connect and relate to your patient, there's not a whole lot of healing that's going to happen in that situation. So really like having confidence in what you have to offer and just throwing off the white coat and like bringing it down to earth and relating and connecting, I think is like the biggest piece of advice. Because once a patient feels that connection, then they get vulnerable. And then you hear the real truth of why they're faced with the symptoms that are manifesting in them.
Right.
So really like take away all of the medical jargon and all of the textbooks-ish and just get down on their level and relate to the person. Mm-hmm. That's the number one advice I would say for any of our fellow practitioners out there.
Very cool. Well, ladies, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This has been honestly more informational for me than it was for you, for sure. But I definitely have a newfound respect for what you guys do, and more importantly, the struggles you guys face. And I will hopefully.
But will you see a naturopath?
I was just gonna say I would like to be a patient if you guys will have me.
Job is well done.
What was your last lab work? What did your last lab say?
She's gonna
like just regular doctor lab work.
Yeah.
I mean I do MedCan, so probably like a year ago.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Give me your MedCan results.
Yeah. Done.
MedCan is amazing.
Yeah, we love MedCan.
Can you tell us what your most embarrassing moment is? I feel like ours were
sizzle your damn self.
Yeah.
Up in
sizzle,
here.
Yeah, sizzle. Don't worry, I have enough sizzle. My most embarrassing. I do a lot of dumb shit. Like but I'm just not. Maybe I was like I wasn't born.
You had no
with
shame
yeah,
associated
like
to
maybe
it.
I was not born with the shame gene. Yeah. There's definitely things that when I eventually run for politics, I realize that I'm going to have to do a lot of explaining in advance. I'm like, listen, guys, I had a history. Like I used to do stupid things, but I've learned from those, and then I will move on. A specific
that you can be embarrassed of today, not future politician Basem.
That's a hard question.
I mean, that's the same person. Yeah. When I was on my 19th birthday, I went to my friends and I went to Niagara Falls, and I had a bit too much to drink, and I got into a fight with the haunted house security and it led into like the police getting involved, and then and I had to go to the hospital to get stitches, and like it was a whole disaster. And in the middle of all of that, at like 1 a.m, I thought it would be a really good idea to call my mom and tell her that this was happening so that I could get a medical report to sue the security guards who were just doing their job. Like it was. There
you go.
So like not only was I that was like probably like the dumbest thing that I've ever.
Your mom laughed on the other end of
the
phone.
Are you kidding me? My mom was like scared shitless. I was like 2 hours away, and I just told her like I'm going to the hospital to get stitches, and I'm like bye. And then so like when I got home the next day, my parents were like, they're like, we didn't sleep. Like you're not very nice in terms of like the way that you dealt with this situation. So, but I learned a very valuable life lesson, and it grew me up a lot, and I don't do that anymore. So yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So I got my own skeletons in my closet. I'm just not afraid. Like with anything, you like life's a learning experience, and if and like take it, try not to make the same mistake twice, and remove the people in your life that judge you too much.
Facts.
Well said.
Yeah.
Do your parents tell you, I hope your kids do to you what you did to me, that traditional Coptic line?
100%. And like they see our kids now. Thankfully, our kids are up to this point way better than I was when I was growing up. So they're
calling bluff on there.
They're honestly they're good kids. So or like they're really good at lying, but they're too young. They're like 9, 7, and 3. Yeah.
I think lying like developmentally comes in at like 11 or something. I can't remember.
Lying?
Yeah, there's like
no. My kids know how to lie. That's for sure.
But there's a specific time point in which like developmentally like they understand how to like navigate that, but I can't remember where it is. Maybe it is
I don't
before
know.
9. I'm not sure.
I think my kids, they figured that
Manipulation.
They're a
out early.
little
My
advanced.
3-year-old is like professional liar. Like he's just like, did you do this? Like, no. I'm like, you're doing it right now. What are you talking about? Yeah.
The youngest is always ahead of their time.
Yeah, because they learn. They learn
Yes,
from their siblings.
Exactly.
Ladies, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank
It's
you
been
for
a
having
pleasure.
us.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, that's another episode of the Basem Hanna podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. To catch more full-length episodes, you can go check out our website, basemhanna.com, or you can find us on all the major podcast streaming services. So you can find the videos on YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon. Till next time, peace.